All right, and we're live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Horsetooth Cinema Live. And today we've got another live stream for you guys. And I've got two very special guests that I've been wanting to talk to for a while. It's been a while since I've had Scott the Movie Critic on the channel. How's it going, Scott?
Hello everyone, I'm doing very well, Jackson. Thank you for having me on. Really looking forward to this stream tonight.
Yeah, me too. It's been like saying the same thing to Sam a couple weeks ago when I had him on, but it's been too long, and no, it's really good to have you, man.
Thank you, Jackson. Really appreciate that, mate. Yeah, it's great to be on.
And then back from the last stream, as well as I was on his stream like a couple nights ago.
Yes.
We've got Leon Talks Film. How's it going,
Hi,
man?
hello. Yeah, not too bad. Thank you so much, as always, for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on. I always have a great time, and it's great to see you too, Scott. It's been a while since we last been on a stream. I can't remember whose stream it would have been.
I think it might have been Pete's, like in July or something. Yeah.
Yes, it was forever ago, but that was such a fun stream and everything. So it's nice to see you again, mate. How you been doing?
Yeah, I've been doing great, and it's nice to see you again, Leon. Yeah, it's been a while, my friend. No worries.
Oh, it's great to hear. It's great to hear that you're doing well. And yeah, it's great to see you too. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Jackson. I always have a good time, even when the Oscars are going. The Oscars, I can't even complain about the Oscars. They were actually pretty fun this year.
I had a good time with that. I mean, it was like uneventful. Like there was nothing to react to. Like for those who don't know, I was on Leon's stream the other night, and we reacted to the Oscars. But there wasn't anything like Chris Rock getting slapped or anything like that, but it was a lot of fun. Some good music performances, a couple good gags here and there.
James Woods.
Oscar winner James Woods. I don't know if you heard about this, Scott.
No, I can't remember, to be honest. I probably did, but yeah.
Yeah, so James Woods, I think the story is that he was like I think in college, he was like college roommates or something with the guy that wrote American Prometheus. Like he just knows that guy, like the book that Oppenheimer's based off of. And so he was an executive producer on Oppenheimer. So when it won Best Picture, he wasn't the first one to speak, but he won an Oscar and he went up there to speak, which was just very funny to see the guy from like Vampires like just accepts an Oscar.
Oh, he's great. I love James Woods.
It was amazing.
Well, I guess I'll start off with just asking what everyone's been watching lately. Do you want to go first, Scott? Maybe in the last like week or so. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I think the last film I watched was actually Thanksgiving. I haven't watched anything since then, I don't think, but that was a really entertaining slasher film. I had a great time watching that. Yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it. Trying to think what else I watched before that. I think the last film I watched before that was Conan the Barbarian, if I remember correctly. And yeah, wow, what a film that is! I really enjoyed watching that for the first time. That was a lot of fun. The action was great, and yeah, the score was amazing as well. Really nice score in that one.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Arnold one, right? Not the Jason Momoa one. Yeah. Yeah.
I need to see that. I haven't seen either Barbarian or The Destroyer since I was super young, so it'd almost be like going back into them as like a fresh watch or something. But I know Arrow did that gorgeous looking 4K set in America, but I'm like, it looks really nice. I think it's already sold out though. That's the thing. Like,
I think
those films are huge and everything.
Yeah.
But no, I'd love to check those films out at some point because they seem like kind of like quintessential like action films from that era that I can't really comment on if I like them because I can't remember them, but I imagine I'd have a great time with them.
Yeah, same here. It just seems like were they made in the late 80s or early 80s? Okay. Yeah, no. It seems like the kind of cheese from that time that I would enjoy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. First one's actually quite violent in places, to be fair.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I mean I know that's the inspiration for like the comic as well. Like it's a pretty violent graphic novel from what I understand. Yeah.
I can't remember if it's the first or second, but isn't one of them directed by I forget his name, like Richard Fleischer or whatever, the Soylent Green guy and
Maybe?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think he might have directed one of them. I don't know if it was the original or the sequel though.
I'm checking as well because that sounds familiar. He directed Conan the Destroyer, so I think the
Oh, the
sequel.
Right.
sequel. Yes. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple really cool watches, Scott. You know, I definitely
Yes,
need to.
Jackson.
I need to check Thanksgiving out as well. I haven't gotten around to that. That was one of my blind spots from last year.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watched it with Andy and Nigel, and yeah, we had a great time watching that. It was a lot of fun.
I've seen the Eli Roth trailer, like from Grindhouse, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was just really
Yeah.
funny. So the idea that they made a whole film based off of it, or like loosely based off of it, is just really funny. But I've heard it works well as like it's almost like a Scream kind of riff, right? Like it's a little bit like,
Yeah,
a little
it
bit like
did
of a
remind me
mystery.
a lot of Scream, to be fair. Yeah, it's very Scream-esque, like, definitely.
Yeah. No,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. Cool. What about yourself, Leon?
I mean, over the past week, most of what I've been watching, as you know, were the kind of Oscar Best Picture nominees. We watched a few. We watched a few together, or at least I know we watched Anatomy of a Fall together. So I guess I'll start with that. Anatomy of a Fall was really, really, really fun. I had a pretty great time with that. It's a really, really well directed, super fun, which was weird to say about a courtroom drama, but it's like it's kind of funny. Like the whole the murder takes place while the instrumental of 50 Cent's PIMP is playing in the background, which is the funniest thing to me. And it like gets brought up in court, but like PIMP is a super misogynistic song, and then someone's like, "But it was the instrumental version."
Yeah.
There was some really great jokes in that, and obviously the dog's incredible. Messi, who
Oh my
attended the
god.
Oscars. Yeah, no, but yeah, no, I really liked Anatomy of a Fool. What else did I watch? Zone of Interest, which I really, really admired. I wasn't like particularly like, I don't want to say it's hard to say. I wasn't particularly gripped by it, but I really admired it. Yeah, I think that's the best way to kind of like say how I feel about that. But I think I could like it more on a rewatch. And everything Jonathan Glazer's made that I've seen, I still need to see Birth. I think it's Birth, like his middle feature.
Oh yeah, with Nicole Kidman. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I still need to see that. But everything I've seen, like Under the Skin, Sexy Beast, like I love those films. So
I
I'm
love
hoping I'll
Sexy
come around
Beast.
to it. Oh, it's so good. I need to show Jackson. It's on the Criterion channel right now. I might recommend it at some point because it's so good.
I think
And
it's
it's
been
so
on there for a
different.
bit. Yeah. Like it's
Oh, has it?
well, because I
Maybe
think
it
they have
has.
Birth on there as well. Like they have like a couple of Glazer films. I think for Under the Skin, or
Yeah,
sorry,
they have that
for Zone of
playlist, like
Interest coming
the
out. Yeah.
yeah. I even still, I need to show it you at some point. It's great. But yeah, Past Lives, which yeah, I thought Past Lives was pretty good. Again, I wasn't like enamored with it like most people, but I really, really admire it, and it's like a solid 7. It's something that I could see myself revisiting in the future and like kind of loving even more, like with time and everything. But yeah, no, really well made. Kind of bummed it didn't win anything, but I think it was only nominated for 2, and this year's been so. I don't know those categories for like best picture and director. They're so stacked as it is, so I can kind of get it. But yeah, what else? What else? I guess I'm gonna count Maestro just because I watched like half of it and it
You don't get to
fucking
count that, Leon.
sucks. Okay, I don't get to count it. It's boring as fuck. I never finished it. I don't usually talk about films that I don't even finish. I usually can stomach a whole film, but oh my god, the ultimate fart sniffy Brendan. Bradley Cooper, I forgot his name for a second. Yeah, Venture. I hope he does something a bit more interesting next time. I really love The Star Is Born, but Maestro. Oh, no, no.
Have you seen
Yeah, what else?
Maestro, Scott?
I haven't, no. I'm not too sure whether to watch it or not. I'm not sure if it's my sort of thing, to be fair.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Leon, you didn't finish it, so you can't log it.
No, you continue. You take over this.
No, it's yeah, I agree though. I found it very like Oscar baity and I don't know, just not particularly engaging. It's like for a drama about like a really interesting person actually. Like I was kind of disappointed that they did kind of such a boring version of like what would be like a really interesting person's life. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mishima, we watched together. I
oh, we
recommend
did,
it.
yeah. Oh my
I
god.
I love Mishima so much. It was one of those that I really loved a lot the first time I watched it, but it kind of just like completely like I don't know, like it just shot up even more on a rewatch. I loved it so much. And yeah, I guess for the ones we watched together, I'll speak about them briefly so you can talk about them after, and we can kind of have a bit more of a conversation, just so there's like not a huge overlap of me talking for 10 minutes about one film or anything. But yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about Mishima shortly. But great film. Paul Schrader is a legend. And then finally, last night I watched Jackie Brown, the Quentin Tarantino film.
Oh.
It's like I don't know, like my seventh time probably watching it. I think I've only logged it 3 times on Letterboxd, but I'd watched it a few before I started using Letterboxd. And yeah, I've always really liked the film. It's always been one that I I kind of feel like it's fairly, well, for a while it was fairly underrated. Over time now, people have kind of like come to terms and they're like, oh no, actually Jackie Brown's pretty great. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, after my viewing yesterday, it shot up to the top. It's now my favorite Tarantino film, which is wild to me because I never thought anything would top Kill Bill. I know Kill Bill is like such a like I don't even want to say generic answer. It's like it's the popular one, but like I don't know. That film means so much to me. Like I watched it super young, probably too young, but it kind of shaped my interest in all of these like genre films. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Whoa, this music sounds amazing. Whoa, those sound effects. Whoa, this action. All these things, and I was like, this is amazing. And then over the past couple of years, or like I don't know, past 8 9 years or whatever, when I've really been getting into like genre films, I'll watch Toby Hooper's Eaten Alive, and then there'll be a character
Right.
named Buck who likes to, and I'm like, oh, that's a reference to that. And then I'll watch something else and I'll be like, oh yeah, this shot of like a splinter going into someone's eye, that's a Lucio Fulci reference. It's like I love how indebted he is to all these cinemas, like the Shaw logo at the start, all that stuff. And I think over time I've just really loved that as like a huge genre fan. But Jackie Brown, oh my god, it's so good. It's like the best characters. Like I've said in the past, but my favorite screenplay was True Romance, which still might be true just because it's like really cute. But I think that Jackie Brown is his best screenplay. Even if True Romance is my favorite, I think Jackie Brown is his strongest screenplay because he's adapting an Elmore Leonard novel, Rum Punch, I think it is. And so
Yes, he
because he's
didn't come up with it originally. Yeah,
yeah,
one
which
of
is
his rare
really
ones.
interesting for a Tarantino thing because you always think, oh yeah, he's always coming up with these on his own. But because he's adapting this, it almost feels like he's like I don't know, he's almost more um caring and less inclined to kind of go balls to the wall crazy, and he like respects the source material in a way I really love because the characters in that film are so fucking good. They're like his best characters in my opinion. Like I love Jackie and I love Max Cherry. Like the relationship that those two have is so cute. It's so human. It's not like a Tarantino film where every single character is just speaking like they're in a kung fu film or speaking like they're in the coolest western ever. I don't mind that. I love when Tarantino's riffing on exploitation stuff. Death Proof is amazing and it's one of my favorites. It's like top 3. Death Proof is. I love that film. But it's also nice to see him like have human beings in a film every so often too, instead of like
Yeah,
film characters. And I don't know, I love the conversations of these people. Like I love like Jackie's just talking about like, oh yeah, my ass is getting fat, and he's like, nothing wrong with that. And they're just like having these like human moments that are so charming. She'll put a song on, then he'll go to the record store and he'll buy that song on like cassette or something. It's like just these little things, and I'm like, that's so cute. I love these people. It's not like a showy like, oh, they fall in love instantly relationship. It's like, no, these are people in like middle-aged people in their 40s 50s, all of that, and they're just kind of living life. And I really like that. I like that it's not huge in scope. It's like kind of relatively small scale for a Tarantino film.
it
i
is.
uh, i
Yeah,
I still think that he's directing the absolute hell out of it. There are so many great like one-ers and everything. There's a great scene with Chris Tucker early on involving a car and a trunk, which I love how that's shot. I love how the violence in that film is presented too. It's not over the top like traditional Tarantino films where it's like squibs. Like you think of like Django or like Kill Bill, where the violence is so, or even like the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's so over the top. But then the violence in Jackie Brown is so matter of fact. Like there's no crazy blood squibs. It's just like, no, somebody actually died. Like if
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
watching the crazy 88 fight or like the shootout at the end of Django or something, it's like, no, there's so much going on that you're like, oh yeah, there's one, dead, 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 dead. But like there's only a handful of people who die in Jackie Brown, and you still you feel the impact of each one. It's I'm rambling, but I love it. I love it so much. It really, really connected with me even more this time. But yeah, Jackie Brown, amazing film. That's about what I've been watching. I'm so sorry for talking so long about Jackie Brown. I just love it. It's so good.
No, great,
Oh,
great watches. You've seen Jackie Brown, right, Scott?
Long time ago, yes. So I'm not sure if I actually finished it or not, but a long time ago, I think I
yeah.
watched it. Yeah, well, I do remember some things about it, but I can't remember much about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally fair, man. Yeah, no, I've seen it once, and it's like kind of middle of the road Tarantino for me. I just feel like that's because I need to revisit it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like it a lot. It does feel very different for him, and I kind of like how it does feel in some ways it's a little bit more like it feels like he's going away from what his fans want him to do after Pulp Fiction. It's just like, yeah, it's very but it's still very much him, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome watches, Leon. And then for me, I'll just go through like the last week or so here. I watched a couple of films that are on the Criterion's collection right now of like the Razzies, like where they have a lot of like just movies that won a ton of Razzies on the Criterion channel, which is amazing. So I watched Ishtar, which directed by Elaine May, and I don't understand at all why that movie didn't wasn't received well. I mean, it's a little like goofy and kind of like the structure could maybe be improved. Like I didn't love it or anything, but I thought it was really solid. A lot of really just funny jokes in it. It's a funny premise. Like it's just kind of wild what ends up happening. Yeah, I really dug it.
I really want to see that. I did watch one film. I don't want to interrupt. I'll talk about this in a bit, but I did watch one film in the Razzie section. Now that you're bringing that up, which maybe I'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah, we might have watched this one together, I think.
Oh no, another one. Oh God, two.
Well, I was talking about Freddy Got Fingered.
Freddy. Talk about Freddy.
Which I mean, I'd seen before. I love that film. I think it's so funny.
It was amazing.
I didn't see that actually.
Oh, it's so funny. It was so amazing because I think you just posted in the group chat. You were like, "Oh, watching a masterpiece" or something. I was like, "And you didn't invite me." And then you're like, "We're just at the start. I'm only at the start." Oh, that was great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And this wasn't in the Criterion's Razzie category, but it probably should be. So we watched Spike Lee's Old Boy together, his remake of the classic Korean film, and it is so much worse. Like it is pretty much the same movie, but just worse in every single way you could possibly imagine.
It is very funny though.
It is pretty funny. I don't know if it's funny enough to like. It's not funny enough to like where it's like I don't know where I would actually give it a good rating
Yeah.
but I don't know, I did enjoy myself kind of watching it and picking it apart, but oh my God,
It's
like
anatomy of a remake. It's got to be something that you can dissect about film in so many ways to just like piece by piece point out why it is failing, what is wrong with like every aspect of it. It is probably the worst remake I've ever seen. I think I said that when we were watching it, and I still stick.
It's pretty up there for me too, I think, at this point. You asked me at one point after we watched it, what's the worst remake I've seen? And I'm trying to remember of what my answer was to that.
I'm trying to remember this too.
Maybe oh, I'd have to think. Yeah, I'm not
I'm
totally
not sure
sure.
what
I
mine is.
know you've mentioned a
To be
few
fair.
times The Vanishing.
I haven't seen the funny thing is I haven't seen the Vanishing remake yet. I just know a lot about it. And and there's a film critic who I follow who has a genius opinion about like why, because for anybody who doesn't know, The Vanishing is a great Dutch movie, like sort of crime horror thing. One of just the scariest endings I think I've ever seen in my life. It is just a masterful psychological thriller. But it was remade into an English language movie of the same name with Jeff Bridges and Sandra Bullock, and it's like basically like a shot for shot remake of the original, but they changed. Well, not totally. They changed. Actually, I think from what I understand, I think they changed some details, but basically it's like the director. It's like basically you watch it and you're like, how could the guy that made the original like make this like it's just worse in every way you can imagine kind of thing. So that's what I've heard about it. I haven't fully seen it. I've just read that.
It seems bizarre. Like I don't know. I know very little about the original. I know you want to show it me at some point, right?
That's
Like,
the thing is like don't look up the changes to The Vanishing because then you'll know what happens in the original and you
Yeah.
don't want that spoiled for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever seen The Vanishing, Scott?
I haven't, no, but I've definitely heard of it though. I wouldn't mind watching it at some point, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, that's really, really worth checking out for sure.
Awesome.
But so yeah, no, a few more here. Yeah, Leon already mentioned Mishima, Life in Four Chapters, which is just an incredible, like I think one of the best biopics I think I've ever seen. It's just very like unconventional. It's really, really like kind of artistic in its structure and also just like what it's doing with like the artifice of like the sets and everything, just very different from what you normally see in a biopic. And yeah, you really get into this really messed up person's head, and it's very, very rewarding.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched and then I also watched The Omega Man, starring what's his name, Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston, that's the one.
Yeah,
I've heard of that film.
Yeah, it's a pretty like the first 30 minutes of it are great. Like it's a really solid like kind of end of the world like hangout movie for the first like 30 minutes. It's just like you're just following this guy who looks like he's the last survivor on Earth. And
it's a great poster.
It's a really good poster, yeah.
Oh right, yeah, I know the film now. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
really, really
film,
good.
to be fair, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just once it gets into the actual like plot of it, it falls off a little bit, but it's still good. It's still really good. And then Anatomy of a Fall, which was awesome, Leon mentioned. And then last night I caught up with Argyle, the
Oh right, yeah.
most recent Matthew Vaughn joint, which was so bad.
What a fan!
Shit that was. Like, oh my god. We won't be discussing, for anybody who doesn't know, we won't discuss who the real Agent Argyle is.
Oh, the real Agent Argyle is the friends we made along the way.
But yeah, that's what I watched. So no, awesome watches, guys, for sure.
Can I add one more? Because when you mentioned Razzies, I remembered one.
Oh, okay.
It was yesterday.
You told me about this. Yeah,
I was working. I was like, I'll put a film on, something low effort, not something that is gonna like demand my whole attention, or so I thought. Because when I did turn the film on, it gathered every piece of it in every single iota of attention I could possibly give this film. I gave it. I was hooked from the opening frame, and that was the 2003 masterpiece, directed by Martin Brest, who directed classics like Midnight Run and Beverly Hills Cop. I am, of course, talking about Geely. Geely, the romantic comedy starring Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, which is, oh my god. It is so awful that it kind of turns around on itself and becomes pretty good. I will say it's one of the ballsiest films I've ever seen. Not in a good way. I'm not even praising that. It's a film that is so out there. It's like it's out of this world in terms of what it A thinks it can get away with, B what it's showing, and C like the end result as a whole. It's just, oh my god. So right. So, so Ben Affleck plays a New York gangster, like a mobster, like he's Tony Soprano. He's got a really really bad like New York like Italian accent going on, and he's like a mobster. He goes around and he like gathers the money for the people who aren't doing their things and everything, extorts them, and he's tasked by his like. Employee individual to kidnap the son of a famous politician. So the famous politician's son or brother, sorry, not son, brother. So he's like mentally challenged, and he's played by the guy who. Have you guys ever seen like the Hangover films on National Treasure?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
totally.
you know
Haven't
Doug.
actually, no.
Well, I wish I had a picture of him or something, but Doug from The Hangover, or Nicolas
Oh,
Cage's buddy from National Treasure, who helps him on the like tech side and everything. That guy,
yeah, yeah,
he
I know the guy.
plays he plays the guy who's like mentally challenged, and it is like I Am Sam levels bad from what I can see from the I Am Sam pictures. It is so bad. Like it is like offensively awful, and they playing it entirely for humor. Like there isn't a single moment where it's like, oh no, this is supposed to be a compelling character. No, it's just like he says things out loud that he shouldn't. He stutters on his word. He makes noises, and then he listens to rap music and like raps, but in a it's so bad. It is so bad. I can't even begin to fathom how awful it is. But you've got Ben Affleck like playing like this like mobster, this Italian mobster, or like New York mobster or whatever, and it's like, what is going on? Then Jennifer Lopez comes into the picture, and she's giving the worst performance I've ever seen because she's not performing. Every line of dialogue is in the exact same kind of like tone and mannerism, whether she's talking about reading a book or she's talking about like sexual stuff with Ben Affleck. It's exactly the same tone throughout. She's awful in the film, but it's so funny because every line of dialogue is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It's like the greatest thing because it's so bad. I couldn't stop laughing. And here's the thing, it is a comedy that's a bad comedy, but it's still funny. Where every single joke in the film is like terrible, but I was still laughing constantly. I can't explain it because like I don't know, like whenever I think of like bad comedies out there, I think of something that's trying really really hard to be funny, but then it's just like dead air, you know? It's like I imagine
Yeah.
Argyle was kind of like that, where it's
Yeah.
like they try to be quippy, but it's just like you're like, oh, or like groaning and stuff like that. Or you get something like I'm trying to think of what's a bad comedy. Something like Soul Man that we watched, where it's so offensive that it isn't funny, and it's just like you're trying so hard, but this is just not funny. It's offensive. But with Geely, it's so unfunny, but it kind of comes around to being pretty funny. I can't
Hmm.
explain it. I think you just have to witness it with your own eyes.
It's on
Oh
the
my god.
Criterion channel right now.
It is on the Criterion channel
Okay.
in the Razzie section. There are two sequences with actors who I I just want to say just to prep you. So there's just a sequence like 20 minutes in where Christopher Walken appears, and I'm like, what the fuck is Christopher Walken doing here? And I'll say this, and I mean this with my like utmost sincerity. He's better in Geely than he was in Dune Part 2.
Oh no.
I'm
Wow.
being
Oh.
serious because he's not. I don't think he's very good in Doom Part 2. He's like the bad performance in that
He doesn't
film.
have a
But
lot
anyway,
to do, but he's not. I don't think he's
Dune.
bad at it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Mark Commode points this out, and I felt like I felt like I understood, like I felt like seen when he said this. Every other performer in that film plays like they're actually a character on like Arrakis and all these planets, but Christopher Walken's just playing Christopher Walken. He's not doing anything different. He's just doing the Christopher Walken thing. So it took me out personally, and it's like he's not doing anything. He's not like really he's not in like a get up where I'm like, oh wow, yeah, he feels like somebody out in like a space planet. No, it's Christopher Walken. I don't see that with Timmy. Like I can see Timmy as Paul Atreides. I can see Javier Bardem. I can see Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson. All these characters feel like they exist on this world. Florence Pugh, they feel like they exist. And then you get Christopher Walken, and it's just, hey, it's Christopher Walken. I like Christopher Walken, but he's not really doing anything in the film. But he's good in Geely. In his one scene, he's very, very bizarre. But he is topped by the legendary, the incredible Al Pacino. Al Pacino
Oh,
has
wow,
one
mention that.
scene in Geely, and it's like the craziest thing I've ever seen him do. And that's Dunkachino right there. And he's going for it. He's going for it. So if I haven't sold you on Geely already, I don't know how else I could. It's a terrible film, but it's incredible as well. It's on the Criterion channel. It's on Netflix in the UK as well. So Scott, if you
Oh.
want to watch Geely, prepare for the most unromantic romantic comedy you'll ever see. That's really, really unfunny, but somehow ends up being funny. Oh, it's amazing. I had to put the word out for Geely because no one else is defending Geely. And I'm not even defending Geely, I'm just saying everyone needs to see it.
I might
You
give
gave
it
it like an
to be
8 out of
fair.
10
Sounds
on.
intriguing.
Yeah.
You
You gave it like an 8 out of 10. You are defending it.
I'm defending it almost entirely on an ironic level, but still, I don't care. It's so much fun. It's awful, but I don't think a traditional studio comedy has made me laugh as much as that one did. So
Okay.
maybe it's successful, but not for the reasons intended. I don't know. Oh, it was amazing. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I keep going on these tangents, but I've been watching such amazing films. I mean, Jackie Brown, Geely, they're pretty much on the same level, honestly.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into our comments here. We got Winslow with the classic Winslow wave.
Hello,
How's it going, man?
Winslow, mate.
Hi.
Had a lot of fun chatting with you the other night on the Oscar stream, which was
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it was great fun.
We got Mac Chat saying how do. How's it going, Matt?
How
Hello,
do?
mate.
Hi.
Great to see you there.
Yeah. And he also asks, anyone upset that Fast X didn't get a nom last Oscars?
God.
Very
I mean,
upset.
Jason Momoa is so good in that film. God, I'm not even kidding. Jason Momoa is really funny in Fast X. Not Oscar worthy, but honestly, I'm just bummed out. I know it was probably just because the cutoff point is like, when's the cutoff point? Like December, January, or something. I think.
For like when a movie can be released to get something like that. I mean, it's definitely like the Christmas Day pictures. Like I said pictures. They like Ferrari, I think, was still in consideration, even though it didn't end up getting anything. But
so for that reason, it's like I completely understand why it didn't make it. But I was hoping to see Madam Web get a few. But I mean, I get it came out on Valentine's Day. The cutoff date's pretty close. It's like you're not going to get all these Oscar voters to be able to check that out in under a month. I mean, it's a pretty packed film, and it's not like an easy viewing either. You've got to kind of sit down and like really appreciate Madam Web for what it is. Like really technically crafted film.
Have you seen Fast X yet, Scott?
No, to be honest, with last Fast and Furious film I watched was actually number 7. I completely lost interest after that, to be honest. And I really couldn't give a shit about watching any of the others after that, to be honest.
That's fair.
That's very fair. I actually haven't seen any of them yet.
Oh my god, I'm changing that. I'm changing.
I do kind of want to watch some of. I'm like 7. I've heard is pretty good. Like that's the James Wan one, right? Yeah,
it's decent. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, and then like 5 I've heard is pretty good. So yeah, there's definitely some ones that I'm interested in, but I haven't gotten around to any yet. So
yeah. I used to actually really like them when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've sort of like grown out of watching them, and I just don't have any interest in rewatching them. To be fair, at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's really fair. Like, there's definitely stuff like that I grew up with that it's like it was good for what it was, but I just don't really have a huge desire to rewatch it, kind of thing. Yeah. Winslow asks favorite Woody Allen film. I watched another Woman today, and Gina Rollins is in it. She gives one of the best performances of all time in Woman Under the Influence. Have you seen it? I haven't seen that one. I've only seen one Woody Allen film, and wasn't a fan of it. It's one of his most recent ones, A Rainy Day in New York.
Gatsby Wells.
Yeah, I've kind of taken. I'm in a group chat with Leon, and my nickname in the chat is Gatsby Wells because I laughed so hard when I heard that was Timmy's name in that movie. But yeah, I didn't like that one, but I've heard he's made great films. Annie Hall. So I definitely do want to check him out. So
I was really worried you were going to say Midnight in Paris.
I almost did. Because I know you're not a fan.
No, I don't like Midnight in Paris very much. But I will say, I've only seen 2 Woody Allen films, and I did see Annie Hall, and I actually really did like that when I saw it. I can't comment now. I don't know if I'd still like it. Maybe I'd like it more. I need to see. I'm trying to think of the big ones, like Manhattan. That's another like huge one.
I don't have a huge desire to watch Manhattan just because it's
based on the premise.
Based on the premise of like Woody Allen trying to date a teenager, like
it
in
is.
the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like I can totally separate the art from the artist, but when it's like in the movie, like
Yeah.
it's
just, it's I'm not in a rush to see it. I'd like to see it just for completionist sake. So just because, the greatest movies of all time. It's always like up there, but I'm not in any rush to see that one. But yeah, I mean, Annie Hall's pretty good. But yeah, outside of that, I haven't seen any other than Midnight in Paris, which I really don't like. I'll just say that. Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
I just had a quick look at his films on Letterboxd actually because I couldn't remember if I've seen any, and I actually haven't seen any, unfortunately. But there would be a few there that I wouldn't mind checking out for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. Like, if there's other than that recent one, yeah, like for some reason I just haven't gotten around to his kind of classics yet, but would like to do that at some point. We were talking about Tarantino a bit ago, and Winslow asks if we've read his cinema speculation book. He says it's really good, just wish it was as personal and as biographic as the first and last chapter. Looking forward to his next book. I haven't. Leon, I know has.
Oh, nice.
I've not finished it, but I've read like a good chunk of it. I'm about halfway through. I really, really, really like it. It's like, as Winslow was saying, like the opening chapter is basically him recounting like the first times he went to like a movie theater and stuff like that, and some of the first big like exploitation films he saw that like changed his life, as well as like regular films. And then each chapter after that, I haven't got to the end yet, so I'm assuming it's like bookended with a similar chapter. But each chapter after that kind of takes place. Well, each chapter is based on a 70s picture that he watched during the 70s for the first time. Nothing he discovered after the fact, like he watched like 2 years ago. Just stuff he experienced when he was young. So it's like there's like chapters where he was like 12 years old and he was watching Deliverance for the first time and stuff like that. And like Taxi Driver. Paul Schrader's Hardcore is in there. I think Bullet is in there too. Just like a bunch of classics. What's the Clint Eastwood one? Dirty Harry's in there. But yeah, it's basically just like focused on him kind of analyzing these films as well as giving a bit of like brief context for the era or like how everything felt around that time. Like the kind of like the political response to something like Dirty Harry, which was very similar to something like the Death Wish films. It's something like that.
I've heard that Dirty Harry. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's a bit more like a highbrow, like maybe not highbrow, but like kind of more artistically crafted version of something like Death Wish.
Yes,
like
that's what he makes it out to sound like. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd really like to check it out. It's like I will say he does a good job at not like spoiling everything too, and it's like I watched Deliverance for the first time after reading that because that his chapter in that kind of sold me on like, oh no, I need to see Deliverance. So no, it's great, but I haven't like finished it yet. I do need to get around to finishing it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
I haven't read it. No, I've never been a massive reader, to be honest. But books like that, I do sometimes enjoy reading. Obviously, stuff like about films and directors and stuff like that. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I'd be interested in reading it because, like you said, like I like stuff like that where it kind of gives you, rather than just like a recount of like what he saw at the time, it's nice that he kind of like let you into what it actually felt like to experience those when they came out. Yeah,
definitely.
for sure.
It's Tarantino's one of the writers where you can kind of hear him, like his voice is like so apparent as you're reading it. It's almost like I think I mentioned this when I was reading like one of Mark Commode's books a few months ago in the chat, but it's kind of like that, where it's like every page you read of a Commode book, you're like, no, I can hear this man's voice in my head right now saying this stuff. And no, that's what Tarantino's like. It's a great read. I'd also recommend his novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood he did. That's a really fun read too.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've heard he does some like extended scenes and stuff that's not actually in the film. Yeah.
It's almost like the best way he described it, I think, when he was on a talk show, he mentions like when you had something like Jaws coming out or like films like that, there'd always be like a cheap novelization of the film that came out around the same time, and it would deviate so much because they'd get like an early screenplay or something, and there's obviously changes that go on during the production. So it almost feels like when you're reading a novelization from a film from the 70s, 60s, 80s, something like that, it's like an alternate reality version of that film in a way. Like it might have a different ending or different scenarios for characters. Characters might be different based on like how they're performed in the film. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood almost feels like an alternate reality version of that story that was told on screen, where it's like these are still the characters, they're still those names, and most of the events still kind of correlate to like what's going on screen. But there are so many massive differences in terms of just like, I don't know, you spend chapters with Cliff Booth, like Brad Pitt's character, where he's just in like art house theaters watching like pornos and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like these extended sequences of him doing that, and it's so funny. It's like I love these like weird moments, and like you get like kind of backstory, Cliff's backstory and everything when he served in the military. Oh, it's so good. I really recommend it. It's so trashy and sleazy, but it's going for that, so it really works. It's like, because when I think of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's really like that's kind of like late era Tarantino. It's really relaxed, but this one's kind of like, this is like scuzzy. It's like the death proof version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a really fun read.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Max says, talking about Woody Allen films, Annie Hall is my favorite, but that's the boring answer. Crimes and Misdemeanors is great, and Mighty Aphrodite I love. Okay. I don't think I've even heard of Mighty Aphrodite, but
no, I haven't heard of that one.
It sounds familiar, but yeah, I've definitely never seen it before though.
Yeah, there's quite a few to explore there in that filmography for sure for me.
Yeah, definitely.
He's got a bit of a thread here. I guess I can go through the whole thing because it's like 4 comments, but I love the Robert Forster casting story where Tarantino kept bumping into him saying, "I've got something in mind for you," and Forster's career was in third at the time. And finally, when he was sent the script, he wasn't given the name of what character he wanted him for. So after reading the thing cover to back, he rang Tarantino thinking he was going to offer him the part of the judge, and he said, "No, Max Cherry." Forster's reply was, "They won't let you cast someone like me in that role. That's not how it works." And Tarantino was like, "I cast whoever the fuck I want." Right up to the premiere, Forster kept thinking they're going to cut all my staff and replace me. That was a long story. Wow.
That's great. I not great that he was nervous. Just that's great that like Tarantino stuck to his guns and everything. And no, Robert Forster, he's a legend. Like he's so good. I really like him in Alligator. I don't know if either of you have seen Alligator, but that film is so good.
It is a great film. I really enjoy that one.
Yeah, he's great in it. He plays like kind of a lead character. He's like a cop who's investigating these mysterious murders, maybe linked to a really big alligator. It sounds goofy, but it's like, honest to God, it's like probably my favorite creature feature. I like it more than Jaws. That's a weird thing to say out loud. I'm not saying it's like up to the same technical prowess of something like Jaws, but I love Alligator. I think it's so well crafted. It's so entertaining. The practical effects are amazing, and it's not like sleazy, stupid, trashy monster movie or anything. It's like pretty smart actually. It's well crafted.
Okay.
But yeah, he's great in that, and yeah, he's amazing in Jackie Brown too. I also read a piece of trivia earlier because I was reading up on Jackie Brown. I read a piece of trivia that so I don't know if either of you remember, but during the scene where Jackie's like sentenced, like 30 minutes into the film, the judge is played by Sid Haig, which I really really love. Sid Haig is in
Can't
like
remember.
House of a Thousand Corpses. He's the clown,
That's
but
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
he's also in like Foxy Brown and Coffee and all of those because he was like the scuzzy henchman of the bad guys that she was killing and everything. So he was in all of those films. She didn't know that Sid Haig was even in the film in the first place. So when she appeared on set, Pam Grier, and she saw that Sid Haig was the judge, she just started laughing and she was like really happy over it. She was like, "Oh yeah, it's my mate, it's Sid Haig," and I'm like, "That's such a cute story," because obviously those two reconnecting after like 20. Probably like 20 years or something, because
Yeah.
it's like Foxy Brown was like 70s, right? That would have been like 76.
That was
Think that's
around
70s, yeah.
because coffee I think was like 78, so I think it was around that time, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's those films are so good. Pam Grier is a star, like
Oh
always.
yeah.
Even in stuff like Ghosts of Mars, which isn't very good, she's still so good in that. Like for the 10 minutes she has.
I was gonna say she has like no time in that movie. She's so like disrespected. Like
She is. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. I'm kind of a fan of Ghosts of Mars. I don't think it's good. I'm kind of a fan, but no, that disrespectful what they did with her.
yeah, I don't get it either because I'm sure Carpenter's a fan if he asked her to be in the movie.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah. Winslow says, by the way, the new PTA will be in IMAX. Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Another year to wait though. Yeah, I just looked it up. It's August 2025. So yeah, a little bit more than a year. But it's like shooting. I think they started shooting in January, and maybe they're done now. I don't know, but yeah, it's like Leo's in it. I think Alana Haim's in it from
Yes.
Licorice Pizza.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, I liked her a lot in that. I would love to see her in more PTA. Yeah, I just think I don't know if I want to say he's at the top of his game because I still need to see a lot more from him, but like just in terms of like, you know, Hollywood, like old, you know, kind of old school Hollywood craftsmen, like still, you know, doing what they can with kind of medium-sized budgets, like, so, you know, I'll be seeing whatever he's up to next for sure. Yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah. No, PTA is great. I've got a few I still need to see from him, but I mean, I don't think I've disliked a PTA film. I really, really, you know what I keep almost recommending, and I want to ask now if you're down to watch it sometime soon. Would you want to watch Inherent Vice together? Because I've never seen that.
Maybe if in the future when I can be under the influence of a certain alcohol, definitely alcohol.
Yes, alcohol, yes. Inherent Vice seems very funny.
Oh, you haven't seen it. You're just recommending it on the Reputation, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay, yeah.
Yes.
No, I've heard too. I mean, I've honestly only seen a few PTA. Like in terms of like film bro directors, like he's easily the one I've seen the least of. But I've loved everything I've seen. So, I know what your favorite PTA is, Leon. You can say it.
Oh, Punch Drunk Love. Oh,
yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, and then Scott, what's your favorite PTA actually?
Probably Boogie Nights, I would say. I love that film. I think that's a really, really good film from him, to be fair. Really do enjoy that one.
It's actually one I haven't seen yet.
It's great.
I know I heard, so when I went and saw Babylon, there's a sequence in that I've heard is very much inspired by a sequence in Boogie Nights, like the Alfred Molina sequence.
The Al Molina scene's so good.
So I really do need to check that out for sure.
It's also got a great Mark Wahlberg performance, which you can't say about a lot of films.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not. I wouldn't consider him like a great actor. I mean, he's got a few comedic roles I like for sure.
Me too.
Although you need to check this out. I watched it recently, a couple months ago on the Criterion channel. You need to watch James Gray's We Own the Night. That is a amazing Mark Wahlberg performance.
Wait, he's in that?
Yeah. He plays one of the brothers. He plays. It's essentially like about. So like these two brothers who kind of grew up from a a family that was split between like the mafia and like Law and Order, and they're kind of on opposite sides of that now. So Mark Wahlberg plays the cop, and then Joaquin Phoenix plays the guy who's in with like the Russian mafia and stuff, and it is just like such a great film. Yeah,
That
That
sounds
sounds
great.
really good, to be fair, yeah.
yeah.
No, that sounds good. James Gray, I think I've only seen Ad Astra. I'm slacking on James Gray, I gotta say. I do need to like catch up a bit because he's done so much of it. I've just heard is great. So I'd love to
I think he's just one of the most like underrated directors working right now. Like he's kind of like we were just talking about with PTA. Like I think I think he understands like classic Hollywood filmmaking better than like almost anybody. Like if you watch Ad Astra or especially like Lost City of Z, like those have such a good understanding for just like very classic landscapes and shot composition, the way that he approaches like, you know, just directing actors as well. Like it feels like you're watching an older film when you watch one of his movies, even though, you know, he's kind of at the top of his game right now in a lot of ways. So yeah.
No, yeah, I'll definitely have to check more out from him in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, same here, to be fair. I think I've only seen Ad Astra as well, so yeah, I definitely need to watch more of his stuff as well.
Yeah. Did you? I didn't ask you guys. Did you guys both like Ad Astra?
Yes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, thought it was really good.
I'm not someone who's like huge into sci-fi. I think you know this. Like we've had conversations before, but no, Ad Astra in the moment, I was like, yeah, there's a couple of issues with this, but overall, I really like what it was going for. And then after hearing about his, I don't know if you ever heard about After the Fact, where he spoke about how the theatrical cut of that film wasn't what he intended. He has like
I did hear about that.
cut, the like what like the narration was forced and everything. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And it's like in my head, I picture this version with the changes that he wants, and I'm like, no, that would be like a legitimately great film. But like as it stands, I really like Ad Astra, like in its current form. But I think if it was Fox, so if Disney ever allow him to do like a director's cut, that could be like that probably would be like one of my favorite like sci-fi films of the. It was like 2019, so 2010.
Yeah.
That'd probably be one of my favorite sci-fi films of the 2010s, and I think. But I really like it. I need to give it a rewatch though, because I haven't seen it since the cinema. I just remember it being so pretty, like so pretty. Like he really, like you said, really understands scale. Sorry for interrupting. No, I'm so sorry. He really understands scale, and I kind of love like the commercialization of the moon and everything. I don't know if you remember that. Like, there's a Starbucks and a McDonald's on the moon, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of I like this. I really love like where the third act goes in particular too. Like, I really liked that.
Yeah, like it's fun early on. Like you said, it has those funny moments, and like you have like the moon pirates and like baboons in space and everything.
Oh my god, yes.
But I mean, yeah, like it's it does get a lot more like intimate in that third act with him and his dad for sure.
Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah, like it's. I mean, it's kind of that classic sci-fi thing. I mean, like 2001 does this. Solaris definitely does this, where it's like you go far out in outer space, but what the movie is really about is inner space. It's very like this, you know, it's much more intimate. It's about the human psyche. It's about getting into a character's head, like the further out you go. So you're definitely in that vein for sure. Yeah. Max says, "Holy crap! PTA has a new film in the works. Get in." Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm gonna look up. I don't know. Has the budget for this new film been announced? Because I know Licorice Pizza was made on like a smaller budget than he wanted.
I think this is like an insane budget, if I remember. This is I want to say like between 150.
Wow.
115 million. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's much bigger. Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, Leo's probably part of that.
And Sean Penn's in it as well.
He's probably charging like 50 million just to be in it, Sean Penn.
Sean Penn was in Licorice Pizza as well, and he was actually like really funny and very prominent in it. But I
like Sean Penn as an actor.
Yeah.
Not so much as a person. Google Sean Penn allegations for more
Oh.
information.
We also interviewed El Chapo. He's
Oh
just
my
a
God.
very interesting personality in general, but
I
He-
didn't even know you'd been in trouble with police and stuff, to be fair. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
interesting guy, but he's a good actor. I really love him in Carlito's Way. He's great.
Oh,
And
oh my
love
god,
that performance.
yeah.
the Casualties of War as well. Holy
I
shit!
was gonna
Oh,
say Casualties of
what
War.
a
He
film.
like shocked me with how good he was in that, and I
Oh,
think he's a great actor, of course. But
Oh yeah,
my god, yeah.
yeah.
Omega Man is the best adaptation of I Am Legend. I rewatched the first one, Last Man on Earth, last weekend. Really like that one too.
Nice.
Wait,
I've never seen
the
that.
first one is in like, is it like a? Because I think Omega Man's very much like a standalone movie. It's definitely not like a sequel.
I'm not
Maybe the
sure.
first
at all.
adaptation,
Maybe.
like an
Oh, as
adaptation
in like,
before Omega Man or something.
yeah, because it's. I'm guessing I Am Legend. I didn't even know it was a book. I thought it was just the Will Smith movie.
I didn't
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
no,
to
no.
be
It's like
fair.
it's adapting that same like source material. You know, like
Okay.
Man wanders the earth and everything. Like, yeah, Omega Man
Yeah.
is basically the early I Am Legend.
There's no dog in Omega Man.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. It's very different for sure. I mean, like it's not like, I think I Am Legend like is trying to do more of like a horror thing. I mean, there is some horror elements to Omega Man, but it's honestly more of just like a classic like sci-fi dystopian thing. There's not It's not like a very gory movie or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, it's not even like the sequences with the zombies aren't even directed like with a lot of like suspense. That was part of my issue with it, is that it's kind of like flat and a little bit bland in how that's done. But I mean, it's like, again, like I think the strongest part of it is like it's a hangout movie for the first like 30 minutes of it.
Yes.
Like you just hang out in like downtown LA with Charlton Heston, and like he thinks he's the only person on the planet, and he's just going around shooting these zombies and then just doing weird things for recreation. Like he just screens like a 35mm print of Woodstock at one point, and he's just sitting in the theater going like, they don't make movies like this anymore. Like it's
Oh, it's great. It's like the opening act of that film is so great, and then the real film kicks in, and I'm like, I don't care.
it's fine. Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Ari Aster's new film, Eddington, contemporary western starring Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, and Pedro Pascal? Yeah, that is a great cast for sure. I did hear about it. I don't. It sounds like he's. I don't know. Like I wasn't as big as on Beau is Afraid as like Leon was, for example, but I just really like that Ari Aster's taking all these big swings lately and blending so many different genres into what he wants to do. I hope he can discipline himself in terms of runtime a little bit. But
no, I want it to be 4 hours long. I want it to be like 4.5 hours long. I would, if I saw the runtime and it was like 4:20 or something, or 4:30, I'd be like, this is perfect.
But no, I'm very excited for it. Like again, like I because I liked his first two films a lot more and I still liked a lot of Beau is Afraid for sure. So, what about you, Scott?
I think I've heard of it, but I didn't know it was a western, and that cast is absolutely fantastic. To be fair, and I do like some of his films. He done Hereditary and Midsummer, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I love Hereditary. Hated Midsummer, but I want to give it another rewatch. To be fair, see if it improves on a rewatch. And it was a while since I first seen it. To be fair, I think I watched it when it came out, which 2019 was it? If I remember.
Yeah. And also, there's a director's cut that I'd really recommend if you watch it. I know that recommending a longer version of a film you didn't like probably doesn't sound like the best thing, but the director's cut does, like, it did remedy a lot of my initial issues with that film. Like, characters developed a bit more and everything. So if you can find the director's cut, it's on Blu-ray in the UK and stuff. I highly recommend that version.
Yeah, I think I've actually got a Blu-ray somewhere, but I can't remember
Oh,
where
nice.
it is. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure I've got it somewhere, so yeah, I'll have to rewatch that again for sure.
Yeah.
But
So
this film sounds good, to be fair.
So you bought a Blu-ray for a film that you hated, and I guess Leon, that means you'll be buying The Holdovers pretty soon, right?
That was the first time I
No.
watched it, to be fair, was on Blu-ray.
Oh, it was.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
never mind.
Yeah.
Have you not seen my name in the chat right now? Take the comment off screen real quick.
1 sec. Yeah. I did see that.
There we go. No, I don't want the holdovers. That I don't want that like tainting my collection. My collection only has good films like Spike Lee's Old Boy in.
Do you actually own Spike Lee's Old Boy?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
think-
That's what you watched the other night when we.
I think it's like over here. 1 minute. Where is it? Let me find it.
Imagine actually purchasing that item.
Well,
The
it's
Green
out
Old
of
Boy's
print now.
great,
It's
though.
actually hard to find.
I love the original one. It's so good.
Oh, the original's amazing. Is it It got a 4K recently, right? Like last year?
Yes. Arrow released on 4K years ago over here, but
yeah.
Neon? Is it Neon in America?
Neon did it, yeah.
Look, Old Boy. Look at this cover. Find
The other
the
thing we didn't-
truth and make it hurt.
we
So-
didn't mention this, but like, because like the guy who plays the main guy in Old Boy is so good in the original, but Josh Brolin is like, I think he's a great actor. It's like one of the worst performances I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
It's got a 4-star review on the front. I think you'll like this given your recent comments. 4 stars, and the box quote says "sensational performance from Brolin." Oh my god. I'm gonna read the blurb if that's okay. So just a short paragraph. And tell me what you think of this. Spike Lee's remake of the critically acclaimed Korean masterpiece Old Boy follows the story of Joe Doucette, Josh Brolin, a man who is abruptly kidnapped and held hostage for 20 years in solitary confinement for no apparent reason. When he is suddenly released without explanation, he begins an obsessive mission to find out who imprisoned him, only to discover that the real mystery is why he was set free. Ooh, intriguing. Scott, I highly recommend watching Spike Lee's Old Boy. It's
I'll
terrible,
give it a go, definitely.
but it's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, I know some people who watch it and they're just like outright offended by how bad it is, which I completely get. But
I'm not offended by it. It was baffling. Like,
yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Like when you think of remakes, sometimes you just like, why does a remake exist? And sometimes you'll get like the odd ones like Van Sant's Psycho or something like that, or you'll even get one like the prequel to The Thing, which I'm still gonna kind of call a remake because it kind of is just a remake. It's the same story pretty much, and then you're just like, yeah, what's the point of this? Like, but then Old Boy is just like, I don't understand the point of it. You're not adapting it to make it better. It's like it has this like vendetta for the original film and wants to constantly one-up it in every way possible. It's like, oh, in the original he's in prison for 15 years, and this he's in for 20 years. Oh, there's a weird subplot involving 2 characters in that film. We're going to expand it to like an entire family, and it's just like everything is like constantly one-upped in a way that I don't understand, but it makes it a wildly fascinating experience.
yeah,
I was
awesome.
I might even say I was a bit bamboozled by it.
There you go.
Spike Lee jokes.
Winslow says James Gray's Two Lovers is my favorite film of his, one of Phoenix's best performances. I haven't seen that one yet. I'm gonna check and see if the collection for him is still on the Criterion channel. I think it is.
I hope it is.
Because there's that one. There's We Own the Night is on there. I don't know if his 2 most recent, or like I don't know if his 2 most well-known ones are there, like Ad Astra and Lost City of Z. But but I
What's the
think
other one he made recently? Like Armageddon
Armageddon
Time?
Time, which I saw, and I saw that in theaters and really enjoyed it. But I don't think that's in the collection. I think it's
That's
mainly his older ones. There's another one. The Immigrant is the one I was thinking of. That's
Oh,
in
right.
there as well.
yeah.
That's like a Marion Cotillard one.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've heard, yeah. No, I do want to check that out for sure. Have you guys? Neither of you guys have seen this one, or
No,
No.
I
Again,
haven't.
I've only seen Ad Astra.
That's right.
I'm
You
so
said.
sorry.
Yeah. DiCaprio and PTA have been on course to do a film together for 25 years, and now it's happening. He was the first choice to play Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights,
wow.
and then Bradley Cooper's role in Licorice Pizza. I can't really picture. I mean, I haven't seen Boogie Nights, but I've seen enough of Mark Wahlberg's performance in that to know what that character's like. I can't really
Yeah.
picture Leo in either of those, to be fair.
No. I
I
mean,
don't know.
Leo has that crazy energy in like Hollywood, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something for the Cooper performance, maybe. But even then, like I hate to say this as an anti-Maestro man, but God, Bradley Cooper like completely steals that film. Like that one scene is amazing in Licorice Pizza. I love Licorice Pizza, but Cooper's like sequence in that film is so funny. Like that's easily my favorite performance of his. And he's only in the film for like 15 minutes or something. He's not in it for very long.
No, I think I mentioned this when we were chatting recently. So when I went to see it, I went to the bathroom during the middle of the film, like in theaters, and when I came back, I think it was like at the start of that scene, and I must have missed some of the comedy because the house was like down, like people were just losing their shit at Bradley Cooper. And when I got back, I thought the rest of it was very funny, but I missed some of it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And you've seen Licorice Pizza as well, Scott?
I have, yeah. I thought it was great. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It was funny in parts as well, definitely.
Yeah. No, for sure. I need to go back to it because I haven't seen it since theaters, and a lot of people I'm good friends with. It's like one of their favorite films of the decade so far. Yeah, it's definitely
2020s.
It's from 2021. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
2021,
God.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
For some reason, in my mind, I was just picturing it as like a pre-pandemic film for some reason. But I think since the pandemic, I've kind of lost all perception of time as it is, so I can't really tell
Yeah.
what the film was.
Maybe it was made pre-pandemic.
Maybe, yeah. It might have been delayed for a little bit. Like I might have heard about it in like 2019, and it might have been that actually. Yeah.
I'm gonna check real quick.
That's felt
when
like
it
a
was
while
shot.
ago, though, since it's been released, though, to be fair.
Yeah, because I feel like that's like kind of like I don't want to say like a modern classic because obviously like it's very early days still if it's only 3 years old, but no, it does feel like it's kind of like cemented itself already in the zeitgeist. It's like people know Licorice Pizza. It's like that's just like one of the big films of PTA. That's crazy, but that was 2021. I'm losing track of time.
And they shot it in 2020, so like the summer of 2020. So they
okay.
Wow, they really got that out fast.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive.
Or wait, no, because I guess that's about a normal time because because I think it was released during like December of 2021, like it was like a Christmas release. So
yeah, it was pretty late on, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Max says I'm overdue my yearly watch of Magnolia. That's one of my all-time favorites. The whole cast is amazing, but Tom Cruise just eats the screen, and that Amy Mann soundtrack is heaven. Yeah, this is another one I haven't seen personally. I've heard really good things. I think the only thing that's really put me off about it is the runtime. I think it's
like
his
3
longest
hours,
film. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've heard really awesome things. Have you seen this one, Scott?
I have, yeah. It's one of those films that I've been wanting to watch for years because I always heard great things about it. And when I finally did get around to watching it, I was actually very disappointed. I really, really disliked it. I could not get into that film, unfortunately. I was just bored. Didn't like it.
It does seem like kind of one of those polarizing ones, but be such an investment to like the 3 hour runtime and everything. It's like I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. But like I imagine if you're not into it, then it's kind of like a grueling experience if it's that long,
Yeah. it was a
Well,
tough one for me to get through. Definitely.
and it's one of those stories that like it's like intertwining narratives. Like it's like all these different like things that are separate from each other, and then they kind of
Yes.
connect at the end. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I can't remember much about it, to be honest. I lost interest pretty quickly, but I
No,
do.
no, fair,
Yeah,
fair
maybe
enough.
another rewatch in the long future. But yeah, I have no plans to rewatch it anytime soon, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How recently was it that you watched it?
2020, I think.
Okay,
But
so yeah, that's not
it
like
feels
too long
longer
ago.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it was 2020.
yeah. I mean, like every now I have like every now and then I have like a violently negative reaction to a film that like a ton of people seem to love, and like it immediately makes me just want to like revisit it at some point. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. I kind of hate that movie, Hal Ashby's being there, but I still like I can tell you why I hate it, but I also like uh, I'm not sure I was in the right state of mind when I watched it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's due for a rewatch, but it also was only like 2 years ago that I watched it. So
Yeah,
Right,
I've never seen such a negative review from you, but it has me fascinated. Like I really want to watch it just on the facts, but I'm like, Jackson hated this, and it's like it's not like it with something like an Argyle. I completely get it. Like I like to feel like I know your film taste pretty well now after like getting to know you and everything. I'm like I can sense what you like, what you don't like. But with being that, I'm just like I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But it just seems like one of those classic films. You obviously
Oh,
whoa, Leon, where'd you go?
outside of that.
bye.
You just
I'm
it was like you are the lead, and then it just cut off.
No, no. No, I was gonna say you are like the lowest person to score, like the lowest score on my letterbox by quite a wide margin. I think everyone else is like the lowest is like a 6 or a 7, so it's just like this huge drop off. It's like your holdovers, and I'm like,
I think it is. I think
need
it's
to
like
know
my
why.
holdovers.
Can,
Yeah.
can you please explain? I just want to know.
Okay.
Don't spoil it though, please, because
Yeah, I
I
won't
would
spoil
like
it.
to watch it, but I'm
For me,
very
my
curious.
issue with it, and and I'll get to Winslow. Winslow's talking about it a little bit, and yeah, I'm curious what he would think about what I'll say about it because I just found it very like repetitive. Like I thought like it has it's like it's a satirical premise, and so it presents that premise pretty early on, and it's decently like funny and interesting when that happens. But then I don't know. I just felt like it just kept hammering home the same point like over and over and over again. Um, I think Peter Sellers is objectively pretty good in it, but I just felt like his character was a total like I just didn't care about him at all. As maybe some of that is the point. But yeah, I don't know. I just I did not get it. Like it was
Okay.
one that my parents recommended. They said it was back when I was renting a lot of stuff from that video store, and that it was I think the one time I went in there with my parents and they picked that out and I was like, yeah, sure, let's watch it. And I don't know. I could not get into it, but
Okay. That's
again, like
interesting.
need to revisit it. I was just gonna bring up because yeah, Winslow said it's good, not Ashby's best. The Last Detail is his best. I haven't. Yeah, I need to watch more of his stuff. Like
Ashby
I've
did
heard Harold and Maude is pretty good.
Yes.
Have you seen that, Leon?
Yes, I got the Blu-ray. It's
Uh-huh.
so good. I love Howard and Maude. That is like uh, probably one of like I've only seen it once, but like just in my memory, it is like literally it's so funny. It's my holdovers. It's the coziest film ever, and it's like I saw so many people like saying, "Oh yeah, the holdovers feels like a Hal Ashby film," and I'm like, "No, because Harold and Maude was charming."
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Like just because like I think the holdovers is so charming. I love it. But and I did not feel that way at all about being there. But
That's so interesting, given that like obviously the holdovers is influenced by Ashby's stuff. I'm like,
mhm.
I don't know. Maybe we need to like swap bodies for a moment. Really I don't know. I feel like maybe we're in the wrong position right now because I should be the one, but really hating a different film, and you should be hating the holdovers. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where I'm going with this.
We've talked about the holdovers enough times where I'm like, wait a minute, Scott, have you actually seen the holdovers yet?
Not yet, no, but I do really want to though. That's definitely high on the watches for sure.
Yeah.
We can. I will recommend it. Leon will not, but
No worries.
But I will say I won't recommend it just out of the fact that I don't like it, but I don't think that I'm like, oh yeah, everyone else is gonna hate it. Everyone I know loves the holdovers but me, so like you'll probably like it and have a good time with it. I'm just
Awesome.
very in the minority on that one.
I was listening to the soundtrack earlier today, and just it's so good. But yeah. Winslow says, I love the first hour of Beau, as Beau is Afraid. The rest was a little hit and miss, but he's certainly a filmmaker that I think will continue to be hard to pin down and keep evolving. You know, I had the same takeaway. Winslow, I think like the first 45 minutes to an hour is just like perfect. Like one of the best things I've ever seen him do. And then the rest of the film I found really messy and uneven and frustrating and kind of boring at times. But but yeah, no, I think some of it for this one, because he wrote Beau is Afraid like years ago. Like it was like his passion project in some ways, and he never he definitely, like when he first started making films, he didn't think it would be one that he could get financed for obvious reasons if you've seen it. And so he was like, okay, I need to have a couple of successes before I pull this one out of the bag. So I think you can see a lot of that in there. I think he kind of rewrote aspects of it to kind of like I just really felt like he needed to just put down the pen for a minute and just like, you know, let some of this stuff just like streamline this a little bit more. But I mean, again, like it's really intriguing, and it was a fascinating watch. So
all I'm gonna say is, don't drink that. You're gonna be sick.
Scott, I know, because I know you weren't huge on Midsummer, but you did like Hereditary, and you haven't seen Beau is Afraid yet.
I haven't, no.
Do you want to?
I might give it a go at some point, but it's not high on my watch list, if that makes sense. It's not what I'm too fussed about, but I probably will give it a go at some point.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, my favorite of last year. Oh, it's so good.
Did that end up being your number one, or was it?
Yeah, that was my number one. I feel like I'd be lying if I said it wasn't my favorite. I think about Beau like nearly every other day, if not daily. It just pops up in my head, whether it's just a funny visual that all I'll say is my beautiful boy. I'm not gonna say anything else. Maybe that you know what I'm on about in reference to that, or I'll think of the you're gonna be sick, or just like random like little frames of it will just pop in my head, and I'll just like audibly chuckle to myself like a madman. I'm like, why am I laughing out loud at like Joaquin Phoenix crying? But like that's basically the whole film. It's
it is so mean-spirited. Like I think that's one thing I really appreciated about it, especially the comedy of like,
oh, it's so funny.
Because the first hour of it is basically like him expanding and like really improving on that short film he made, just called Beau, which is a solid short film, to be fair. It's definitely the best short film of his I've seen.
Oh, you don't like the detective one? The Turtles head?
No. Every other, I don't. Oh my god, Ari Aster's short films. Like there's that one that's called like Munchausen. That's
Munchausen,
like
yeah.
It's like a Pixar short film. It's like a Pixar short of like a mother who's like poisoning her son to like keep living with him, kind of thing. It's
Strange thing about the Johnsons.
Yeah, that one's like, I think I get why some of it's funny, but it's also like, I think he just so clearly wanted to get like a reaction from people out of it. Like it's definitely so like film school edgelord Ari Aster. Like
I'm fine with that. Like I love little edgelord filmmakers. I mean, edgelord. I'm so excited for Aggro Drift. I mean, Edgelord Cinema is great.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally that's the name of the website that Aggro Drift is gonna drop on. I don't know if he's putting it on there for free or if it's gonna be behind a paywall or what the deal
I don't
is.
know, but I want to see it. I want to
I
see
really
it
want
so
to see it
bad.
too, but
Oh,
yeah.
also, I need to say, just completely unrelated, but speaking of films and everything. So, if you are not doing anything after the stream, I have a suggestion if you're up for it, and it won't be long, as long as it has officially done. So, do you know what came out on VOD today?
No.
Drive Away Dolls.
Oh, really? Like a good copy of it. Okay.
Yeah, you can rent it in America and everything now. I was going to ask if you maybe wanted to watch Drive Away Dolls. It's like 75 minutes or something after credits.
I probably would be able to do that. And Scott, you're welcome to join us if you would like. But we can we can
Probably
talk.
be a bit too late for me actually.
That's
To
Oh,
be,
okay,
totally
yeah,
fair.
that's
no.
fair.
Totally fair.
That's
And
fair.
like yeah, we'll probably are you good for like I didn't even tell you at the start of the stream. Are you good for like a 2-hour stream? That's
Yeah,
kind of what I was thinking. Or
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
perfect, cool.
But yeah, if I didn't have work tomorrow, I would have watched that with you guys. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
Yeah, no
Oh,
worries.
no worries, man. No worries.
Winslow says Magnolia is a masterpiece.
Okay.
Glad you
Yeah,
enjoyed
A
it.
lot of people I know are really big. It is divisive though,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people I know that are big PTA fans that don't like it, Scott included. So yeah, I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, I need to see it. I hope I like it, but I don't know. Maybe I'll really dislike it. I don't know, because it seems like one of those that is so like Marmite kind of love it or hate it type things. Like I
Yeah.
I
don't
think
hear
it's
many
one of those. To
people.
be fair, yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear many people who are like in the middle on Magnolia. I hear very visceral reactions, but it's kind of like a Beau is Afraid or like a Midsummer almost, where it's like I don't hear anyone who's like Midsummer's like a 5 out of 10. It's either the greatest thing or it's the worst thing. It's like there's no real in between with that because it's if it doesn't connect with you, then it's just like it can completely fall flat on its face.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about with Magnolia because it's so it might be like it might be like Beau is Afraid levels where it's like but it doesn't work for me. It's like if Beau didn't work for me.
No, I think
'Cause
with like because like the example of Midsummer is interesting because I think like I've read reviews of that for people on both sides of it. Like I like Midsummer quite a bit, but I really like reading like 1-star reviews of it because I think people provide a lot of really interesting arguments for why somebody wouldn't like that movie. I mean, like I totally get like the pacing of it as well, but like Logan Kenny's review on Letterboxd for it is really interesting because he basically makes the argument that the movie is like kind of gawking at like suicide victims and stuff like that. Like it's kind of a little has this. And the interesting thing is I don't totally disagree. Well, I don't think it's gawking at them, but it is like very. Again, I think both Hereditary and Midsummer and Beau is Afraid have this like farcically, just like really mean-spirited attitude towards all of their characters, and I think that's kind of what Midsummer does. But I don't think it's necessarily making fun of the situation or anything. It's just like, just the ends that some people meet in that are very like dark, obviously. So
yeah, it's mean-spirited cinema in the past few years in particular. It's so weird because I love me a mean-spirited film as long as it's like tonally not out in a way that's like actually like it's not prejudice and it's not like trying to like actually upset people because it's like in the case with Logan's Midsummer review, like if you watch Midsummer and you took it that way, I completely get why you'd be like, no, this is kind of like a vile film or something. Like if you had like an actual reaction, like I completely get that. Like I love Midsummer, but I could get that. But it's like I think of something like when I think of like mean-spirited films, it's like one that I joke about from time to time with you, but I really really dislike on a moral level. It's like The Whale, something like that, because that is just a
sure.
kind of I think The Whale is like really mean and like kind of like evil. Like I hate to say it, but I think it's like kind of evil. I think it's a film that gawks at people with like I don't know, like eating disorders and stuff like that and problems, and like again that also touches on themes like I don't know, like suicide and self-harm and stuff like that, but it does
Sure.
it in this really leering way where I'm like it made me like viscerally angry. I was like, this is so mean, this is just a nasty film. So it's like if I could see like someone also say saying that The Whale is an amazing film. Like someone could be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, say it's amazing, and they could really connect to it for so and so reasons. So I find that argument really interesting when it comes to films, where because it's less like. I don't know, like sometimes you'll watch film and you're just like, oh, that was shit or something, and you'll think, oh yeah, not for me. But then there are certain films which tend to resonate with most people, but then there's like a small minority of people who just really like take issue with it on like a personal level. And like I mean, like I said, I do that with like a whale and stuff. So I find that very interesting. And like you said, I really like reading either negative reviews for a film I love or positive reviews for a film I don't love, because it's really interesting to like see both sides of a coin, you know, and like see what works for so many people, what doesn't work for others and stuff. No, it's interesting because I think if you're going into something that's like you only listen to the praise or you only listen to the negative stuff, then that's all you're really going to get out of that film. Like if you just read praise upon praise for a film and you ignore every negative thing, you'll probably love everything. But if you just read negatively and you're like, oh yeah, the new Marvel film sucks, blah blah blah, but then you watch a Marvel film, you're gonna think it sucks, you know, because you're like engaged in this like mindset of just, oh yeah, this thing bad, so everything's gonna be bad. I don't know, I'm going on kind of a tangent here, I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, I think it was very related to what you're talking about.
Be back in a minute, guys. Just gonna go to the toilet quickly.
No worries at all.
No worries. Also, Bobo, don't bark.
I think we'll be talking about this question for a minute because it's really good. But so Winslow asks, she says, I'm reading Stoner at the moment, and it got me thinking about adaptations. Are there any books, video games, or other types of media that you'd love turn into a film? There's a couple I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
And they're books, and I have a feeling Leon will have something to say about video games because
I've got
we're always talking about like Hideo Kojima and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, for me, I think there's a couple. So there's a couple books. So one, I'm a big fan of the modern sci-fi writer Andy Weir, who wrote like The Martian, and he has a couple of films that are a couple of books that are going to be turned into films. One of them is called Artemis, which is about sort of like she's basically like a jewel thief on a moon colony, which is pretty good. And then probably my favorite book of his actually is Project Hail Mary, which is basically kind of like The Martian meets Interstellar. It's just like much larger scale and consequences version of something like The Martian. Similar humor, but a little bit more like PG-13, just because the main character in it is like a teacher of middle schoolers, and so he always has to like clean everything up, but that's like part of the comedy as well. And it has been confirmed that it's going to be a movie. Ryan Gosling is going to play the lead, and I'm happy about that. I'm a little concerned that Lord and Miller are directing it. I think it will. Because I'm a fan of some of their movies, right? Like I really like 21 Jump Street, and a lot of the stuff that they've been behind. I don't love them as people, but I think they've I think totally. I think it could be really good, so I'm looking forward to that. And then the other one, which I haven't actually read the book, but I know enough about it that I really want to see it adapted to screen, is Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian.
Oh god, yeah, I've heard this is like one of those ones that everyone's like, this is almost unadaptable type thing, like a Dune situation.
But it's not even because like the epic scale of something like Dune. I mean, I think with Blood Meridian, it's more just because of the content. It's such a dark, like imagine like the basic idea of Killers of the Flower Moon, but like much more graphic and kind of just like depraved in terms of like what actually goes on. And and also the style, I think people would maybe take issue with, because I've heard people that say it should be kind of like an acid western, like something like Dead Man, but a little bit more even like kind of trippy. I could see people taking issue with mixing like that subject matter of like the genocide of Native Americans with that style, but that kind of is what McCarthy's going for. So I don't know if we'll ever see it. But I would think at one point Ridley Scott was trying to adapt it, which I don't think would have been very good, but that would have been maybe interesting. But yeah, those would be two for me.
Yeah. Do you want to repeat the thing for Scott, just because Scott might have missed a
Yeah. Oh,
question?
yeah, totally.
And
So,
Scott can go next, just because I don't want to take up the spot.
yeah, basically. So, yeah, just like, are there any books, video games, or other kinds of media that you'd like to see turn into film?
Oh, that's a great question. To be fair, not too sure about books. To be fair, but I have got one for video game. Possibly, Metroid would be a good video game film. Maybe that I'd quite like to see that. To be fair, I think that could be a lot of fun.
No, yeah. I've never played any of the Metroid games, but I really want to get into them. But the whole world seemed really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
For books, I mean, I'm not as much of a reader as I'd like to be. Like, I read a lot, like, online typically. Like, I engage in reading so often, but I don't sit down to read a book very often. But like, in recent memory, I've started like picking up more. But again, they're kind of like the Tarantino one or like the Commode one. So it's like, I'm a bit stumped for books, but for films, I mean. Now, this isn't no, that isn't really relevant to the question. I was gonna say because I'm not someone who's like huge on the idea of like something like Metal Gear Solid, like Hideo Kojima's like big franchise being turned into a film. I know they're doing that with Jordan Voight Roberts, the guy who did Kong Skull Island, which and Oscar Isaac's playing Solid Snake, which is interesting, I'll say, because Solid Snake is like a riff on Snake Plissken from like Escape from New York and
That's the
everything.
thing, yeah.
I don't like. I don't know if that would translate because like one of the big things in Metal Gear Solid is they're so kind of dialogue heavy while still having great action, and like it's there's like a famous thing that Metal Gear Solid 4, which was the PlayStation 3 game, the final cutscene in that game runs for 2.5 hours. So
Wow.
it's like an
Wow.
acted, like animated cutscene that lasts for 2.5 hours, and I'm like, that's just one segment of that story. So I can't see this like whittling all of the narrative of something like that down to like a 90-minute film or something. So in cases like that, I'm like, oh, I don't know, but I will say I'm excited for this upcoming A24 Death Stranding film. I love Death Stranding, and A24 have like announced that they're like making a feature version of that. I don't know what it's gonna do because again, Death Stranding is kind of like this massive in scale and scope like narrative. So I don't know how they're gonna translate that, but I'd like to see that, and I'm excited to see where that goes. But what I will say, and this is funny because I don't like this game at all. And Brady, if you're in the chat, I don't know if he is, or if you're watching this at some point, you can back me up on the fact that I don't like this. The Souls-like game Bloodborne, it's like a PS4 game, kind of like Dark Souls. And with Dark Souls, I'm not really into those Souls type games because they're very kind of like focused on repetition of like these bosses are going to kill you over and over again, and I just kind of get annoyed at that, like the prospect of like continuously repeating this cycle over and over again. But the actual world of Bloodborne is incredible. It's like this huge, like eerie, like Lovecraftian gothic nightmare of a world. And like whenever I'm playing that game or trying to get into it, I'm like, this world is amazing. I love everything that's going on here visually. I love like all the little pieces of lore that you can find out about what's going on, and like the little pieces of narrative. I just don't like the gameplay. So I'm like, you could probably translate that into like an amazing film or something. Like, if just like in scope or something, just I don't know. I'd love to see Bloodborne adapted in some form, whether it was a TV series, a film, or something like that. So that's going to be my answer, and that's not even a game I like. I just think that would make for an interesting film. But
Good answer, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? Have you thought of one, or no? Wait, you gave your answer. What am I talking about? Yeah.
No,
For some reason, I had it in my head because I initially was going to be like, oh, we just since you just got back, let's go to Leon first. But then I remembered.
Yeah, no worries. All good.
Yeah, I actually thought of one more. One book I read in high school that I really enjoyed was The Devil in the White City, which is about a it's basically it's about like the serial killer H.H. Holmes who basically built like a murder castle at the World's Fair in Chicago in the U.S. during like the late 19th century. And so what I find interesting about that story is kind of how he was able to assemble such a like kind of extensive operation of like tricking people into like he had he had this like castle basically that just it had all of these rooms that were just designed to kill people in various ways. And the idea, like I find sort of the corruption aspect interesting, like sort of how he was able to evade the authorities for so long. Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be interesting.
That sounds like it sounds like he's out of a Hammer horror film or something. Like he could be played by Christopher Lee or something. He's like, hey, come back
He
to
definitely
my
could be
house.
played by Christopher Lee. If,
I picture that as like a narrative in like a 60s British horror film. That's an amazing. I hate to say this, but like that's like an amazing premise. Like I don't know.
The problem is, I think a lot of you have to get like a really good filmmaker to do it, because I think it could too easily fall into like the true crime sort of trap.
Yeah.
Like maybe Martin Scorsese could do it, because he kind of commented on that with like Killers of the Flower Moon recently.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that'd be a really, really interesting like adaptation for sure. Like
yeah.
Definitely.
We've actually caught up with the comments here.
Oh my God.
So we could, I know. So people can definitely comment more and just talk about, I
was.
What are what are some things that we're like planning on watching soon? Like, do you have anything that's like high on your short-term watch list? I'll start with you, Scott.
Yeah, so I think the next film I'm going to watch is actually probably going to be tomorrow, and that's going to be Conan Destroyer. I really want to see the sequel to Conan the Barbarian. Also planning on watching High Tension this week as well before Friday. Nice. So yeah, be talking about those on the live stream Friday night for sure. Which I'm very much looking forward to watching those two films, definitely.
I'm interested to hear what you think of High Tension, because I've seen High Tension twice now, and I did a review. I got like a screener for the Second Sight 4K that came out recently, so I revisited it, and I like High Tension, but I'm not like as in love with it as most people, but I still find it so interesting. I think it's a really, really, really great film until something happens where I'm like, I'm kind of not on board with this. So I'm interested to hear what you think when you check it out, because again, it's kind of one of those that like people, it's like if this certain element of the film doesn't work for you, it can kind of like all fall apart. But I don't think the film necessarily falls apart. I really love I forget the name. It's like Alexandra Aja, right? I think he's a director.
Yeah, it's either Aja or Aya.
That sounds,
maybe it's
Aya.
Familiar, but I like him. He did the Piranha remake, which I'm actually a big fan
Piranha
of.
3D.
at least
I don't like that actually.
I was gonna say like the movie is whatever, but like the big set piece that they have toward like the big violent like part where like the woman gets scalped by the boat and everything. That thing is so good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that's probably my favorite of his, to be honest. It's fully leaning into what I like. But yeah, no, High Tension is really well directed. It's I'm interested to hear what you think of it. But yeah, no,
cheers, Leon.
Yeah, of course. Me, Drive Away Dolls, obviously. I'm very excited. I'm so happy that that's finally like available, because it's not even out in the UK yet, and I'm like, that makes me sad. Like I would have went to see it day one, because I've heard really interesting things. But outside of that, I'm trying to think. Like I want to get through some more of the Razzie nominees on the Criterion channel, because there's some interesting films. I'd love to see Ishtar. I'm just curious by that one. There's what's the Olivia Newton-John one, like Xanadu?
Oh
yeah.
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 That one sounds.
That as well.
Yeah, that sounds really fun, and it's like 90 minutes, and I'm like, that could be a pretty fun watch to throw on. Heaven's Gate is on there too. Oh wait, what? Sorry, Scott.
I like the song Xanadu by Olivia Newton-John featuring Elio. I like this. Good.
Okay, so now I'm like leaning towards checking it out more now if the music's good too, because it just seems like such a wacky premise, and I'm like, no, this could be a fun time. It reminds me of, what's that Sean Connery film? It's got a similar name. I've got it on Blu-ray. What is this? Zardos. Has anyone ever heard of Zardos?
Yeah. That's the John Boorman film.
It is John Boorman, yes, and I
know Kermode kind of isn't a big fan of that one. I mean, he's just. I honestly do think he just hates John Borman for Exorcist 2, but
Isn't John Borman the Deliverance guy?
yeah, because he did Deliverance, he did Point Blank, like he did all these kind of like, you know, really good
Point
like
Blank's
70s
good.
thrillers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to see Zardos just because it seems wild, but you know, probably Xanadu for on the Criterion channel, and maybe some of the James Gray stuff is still on, if it's still on there. You've kind of sold me on wanting to dive into his filmography a little bit more, because
Yeah.
you know, I've only seen Ad Astra. I feel like I'm missing out, especially because I know he's like really, really well loved as well. So it's like I'm just kind of like, yeah, I need to dive into this. I need to check out more. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll check out like We Own the Night or something.
Yeah, check that out. I'm also, my favorite one personally is Lost City of Z. But I don't think that's on the Criterion channel. I've watched it on Prime before. So maybe it's still on there, but yeah. That one's like kind of, if you mixed like if you mix like Barry Lyndon and like Apocalypse Now, I mean that's not a great way to explain it, but
that's a wild mix.
but because it's kind of like a historical epic in the way that it's told, but it's also but it's literally like about a guy like going up a river and like trying to discover this new thing, like whatever kind of awaits him there. It's not like in the psychedelic sense of Apocalypse Now, but yeah.
Okay, what's up? Bobo, calm down. Sorry about Bobo.
We've had this problem before with Bobo. I mean, not like a problem. It's entertaining.
Yeah,
so.
It is a problem. Bobo. Roof. Like, I'm trying to speak to him in his own language. All right, I'm gonna go get him. Continue talking. I'm still listening, guys.
No worries. Sorry. We do have a few more comments as well now. Winslow says, I might check out Ad Astra tonight, especially off the back of the Ben Hoytma's Oscar win. Yeah. Yeah, that's he's just been on a roll. Like I looked him up, like, because I was curious like where he started in his career, and he shot like Let the Right One In, the Swedish vampire movie.
James Gray?
No, Hoyt van Hoytma.
Of course, yeah.
And then, but yeah, like ever since like he started working with Nolan on like Interstellar, he shot every Nolan film since. He shot Ad Astra, Nope, and maybe like a couple of other really, really good looking films. Like he's just amazing. Yeah, it was well deserved.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. Winslow says, I actually prefer Aya's Piranha over Dante's original, which is a bit of a bore. Yeah.
I've never seen the original, actually, to be fair.
Oh, really?
No.
I watched Aya's one first, and then I watched Dante's one. I like Dante's one. It's pretty funny. Like, it doesn't have anything as outrageously hilarious and like grotesque as that set piece that they have with, because obviously they do that with CGI and everything. Although there is a lot of practical effects too in that, but the Dante one is just like goofy and bizarre. Like it has a lot of the classic Joe Dante like creatures. Like you could definitely see where he was going to end up going with something like Gremlins. So like there's good funny reasons to watch it, but it's like it's definitely not as good in terms of like the gore factor or anything like that.
Yeah. I need to see Dante's original still.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching that, to be fair.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. Like I watched it with Renee last October, and she enjoyed it too. So like,
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Elaine May had some great films in her small filmography. Mikey and Nikki and The Heartbreak Kid are both great. Yeah, this is the director of Ishtar, which apparently Ishtar like destroyed her career basically. Like she just wasn't really able to make much after like the giant flop that was.
Can you understand? Like, is there anything in Ishtar where you're like, this makes sense why it was so reviled? I know not so much anymore, but is there anything that really makes sense as to why it didn't connect with people around that time? Is it like a political thing? Is it just like poorly shot? Like,
I don't think it's a political thing. Just because I mean, like there are political elements to it, but it's very like, I don't know. It's not like it definitely wouldn't piss off like an American or European audience or anything like that. It's like there's some Middle Eastern politics in it, but it's very like minor. Like it's like Sacha Baron Cohen doing The Dictator is like way more like out there than that.
Yeah. Is it?
But
what do you think it is that really like cemented that as like kind of this like laughing stock, or like this like
I think it's just really
it's kind of the
goofy and-
definition of a bomb, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
I think it's just really goofy. Like just Dustin Hoffman and God, who's the other main dude in it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, like they have this kind of I don't know. It's kind of a film about losers in a way, and I just don't know if that energy resonated with people. But there's tons of films from the time that are also films about losers that did better. I don't totally get it, to be honest. There's a couple music numbers in it that aren't great, and you can tell, like, I don't know, maybe they wanted it to be a musical at some point. So I don't know, but like it's definitely like kind of messy, but I don't understand at all why people like hated it or anything.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre because I've only ever heard of Ishtar as like this joke like apparently, and then when I actually research into it and everything, I'm like, no, people seem to like this now. Bobo, be quiet.
Yeah. Like
I'm so sorry.
Because like Martin Scorsese says it's like one of his favorite films of all time, like legitimately.
That's really?
Yeah, like it's like he loves it.
Okay.
So,
That's
up there with Peeping Tom. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
yeah, no worries.
no worries.
Bobo, what's up?
Have you seen any other Elaine May films, Scott?
I can't remember what else she's done, to be honest.
Yeah, Mikey and Nikki. Let me see. Elaine May. Also, yeah, The Heartbreaker Kid. And then a film called A New Leaf, and then the Ishtar. So yeah, really not that many films. But
Heartbreaker Kid, is that the original one, not the one with Ben
Yeah.
Stiller?
exactly, I think.
No, I've not
like-
seen that one. I've seen a Ben Stiller one, but not that one.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't seen any of hers, by the way, and I've returned also the disembodied voice now. But yeah, no, I need to see some. But yeah, I might start with Ishtar also, just because it's on the channel and it seems fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. Like I don't get why people hate it, but Winslow says I do love Dante though. Matinee is a real gem. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I haven't seen Matinee yet.
It's one of my
Neither have I.
favorites.
I've heard it's great though, to be fair. Is that Arrow Video?
Yeah. There's where is it? I'm looking for it now. It's on the shelf somewhere. There it is. Yeah, John
That's
Goodman's
it,
in it
yeah.
and everything. Oh, it's so fun. He's playing this like B-movie schlocketeer, kind of like a Roger Corman-esque fella, or not Roger Corman, like a William Castle-esque figure or something. And it's set in the 50s, I think. No, it's set in the 60s, 62 and everything. And he's basically creating these like schlocky B-movies and everything, and he really wants people to come see his latest one, and that's kind of the premise of it. It's so fun, and it's like it really it shows Dante's love for the B movies he grew up with, but also like kind of the B movies he ended up making, you know. So it's kind of like a mishmash of both of those. It's so funny. It got one of my favorite Goodman performances ever. He's great in it, and it's such a cozy watch. Like you'll have a great time with it. Like if you just want something fun, light, and like genuinely hilarious to watch Matinee. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard it's really
so
good, to be fair.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I really need to check that out. I mean, there's a lot more Dante I need to see in general. Like The Burbs, I've heard is good.
Great film.
I need
yeah,
to see.
I love that one.
Small Soldiers, I've heard is pretty fun.
Really fun, yeah.
I mean, really, the only ones I think the only ones I've seen are Gremlins 2, and Piranha. So there's still quite a bit more I need to see. I mean, Gremlins 2 though is like one of my favorite films like of all time. Like,
it's amazing.
I haven't seen a sequel, to be fair, but I love the first one, so I really need to watch back. Yeah, no,
I mean, the first one, like I hadn't seen it in a while, and I rewatched it over Christmas, and it is kind of a perfect movie, and like just in how it's constructed and everything, it kind of fits in with like it's like the darker side of like those classic 80s, like, you know, Back to the Future, or like, you know, it's one of those, but
Yeah.
like it has a perfect hero's journey and everything, but it's just
Yeah.
so like unhinged. Like it's like I love the part where the woman just gets launched out of the house, like on the chair flying up and everything. It's so like kind of violent and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
and
it's super fun.
yeah, and then Gremlins 2 just adds this like meta, like satirical element to it about how like Joe Dante didn't actually, he really didn't want to make a Gremlins sequel, and the studio just like begged him because they just couldn't come up with any good ideas. And
Right.
so he basically came back and he's like, okay, I'll make the sequel, but you have to like give me a bigger budget, and you have to give me like complete creative control over like what we're doing. And so they did that, and he basically just made a satire about how like about sequels, like Gremlins 2 is like completely just making fun of like sequels and just like like repackaging things in like this corporate way. It's so funny.
That was great.
And the gags too, like it's honestly like a crazier Gremlins movie than the first one. Like it's just like some of the
Awesome.
stuff they do. I won't spoil it like too much, but there's a gremlin that is like a smart professor and like talks in it.
Wow. It sounds like a great time, to be fair. I haven't heard
It's so
about
good.
sequel.
Yeah.
I hope it gets a 4K one day. I did watch a Joe Dante film the other day, actually. I should have mentioned it. I watched Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Oh yeah.
That's
I've
pretty
heard
fun. Yeah, no, that it's good. Weirdly, I was reading into the production after. Joe Dante didn't have complete creative control. He didn't really like making it, so it's another one of those kind of like studio interference jobs. But the Joe Dante elements you can see coming through it are very funny. It's got like maybe the funniest like opening 25 minutes I've seen in a film recently. Yeah, it was so good. And then it kind of peters off a little bit, although I think you'll like the fact that there's this whole subplot going on that's very James Bond-esque, and Brendan Fraser's father is played by Timothy Dalton, who's playing a Bond-esque character, which is kind of funny as well. I really liked that. And yeah, it's fun. It's like actually a good film, which you can't say about something like Space Jam. Like Space Jam is fun, but like Space Jam is.
Yeah. Well, even Gremlins 2 has like there is like a Looney Tunes sequence in that as well. I mean, it kind of opens that way, and then it has like one in the middle. But I mean, like, I don't know if either of you have seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because that's like another one where they kind of
Great film.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, I love those kind of films that blend like the live action with the animated, not like a Sonic or like a Smurfs or something like that, but you know, like when it's like traditional like Looney Tunes-esque animation, something like Roger Rabbit and stuff like that. That's such a great concept that I wish was utilized more, but I feel like people just don't do it because of the amount of effort it takes. You know, it's just like people are not going to commit to that, because I can't think of many other examples other than like the Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like Space Jam, like Looney Tunes. Like, are there any other examples of like films with that kind of like blending of two different like styles of filmmaking?
I mean, not really. Like, certainly not in the traditional animation style. There's probably like, yeah, like you mentioned, like Sonic. Like, there's modern ones I can think of where they do it, but only with CG.
Yeah.
So it's not really the same.
I'm trying to think, because I feel like there is one other that's like really notable that I'm just completely blanking out of my head right now for some reason. But no, it's such a neat art style. I wish more films did it. Like, and I'm not just saying like we need more Looney Tunes ones or anything, but just like other filmmakers, that would be a really interesting kind of like. I think actually there is one other example, and this is kind of stretching it really because it's only in a few specific scenes because the whole film isn't really animated. But I think Pink Floyd The Wall does a pretty good job at like blending the two. I don't know if you've seen that, Scott.
No, I haven't, but I do like some of their music, so I will have to give that a watch someday. Definitely.
So good, it's amazing. I definitely want to recommend it at some point, Jackson, if you're up for watching that, because I know you like
Alan Parker.
Alan Parker, yeah.
And, I mean, I've only seen Angel Heart, but Angel Heart is like one of my favorite horror movies just in general. So
Yeah,
film.
it's so good. Angel Heart is great. But yeah, with Pink Floyd The Wall, there are sequences in the film that kind of blend like live action and animation in ways I don't want to like get into, because obviously the magic of seeing that happen is great. But now that's like one of the only other examples I can think of where the two mediums have kind of intersected like that, and it's not a Sonic like CGI kind of thing where it's like, here's a CGI character in a live action world or something, you know? So I just love that. That's such a cool premise. We need more of that, because wasn't that the whole like gimmick of what's the controversial one, right? Coyote versus Acme, like the one that they've just like shelved or whatever, like Warner Bros.
I don't know, actually. I haven't heard of that.
No.
Oh, you haven't? No, yeah. Warner Bros. Were doing like a new Looney Tunes movie, and it was like fully completed. James Gunn wrote it, and they're just kind of like writing it off as a tax write-off, like the Batgirl film and everything. So there's a huge controversy going on. I haven't seen much. I don't think any like scenes from it have like leaked or anything, but I assume that would probably have to be doing that kind of like blend of two styles, because like Coyote, it's like a Looney Tunes film and everything. So maybe that one's doing it. I don't, but we're never gonna see that probably, because Warner Bros. Keeps writing films off. I hate that people can spend years of their life making something and then a company just checks a box and like throws it away forever. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, and Winslow says, by the way, that he hasn't seen Ishtar yet. I think is what he's talking about. But I think it was probably the difficulty with production and critic pile on. Ebert gave it a half star. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That's the thing, is like I don't get the half star reviews. I get people maybe not liking it, maybe finding it a little boring, but I don't.
Yeah.
I do not get the hate that it got. But
I'd be curious to read his review for that to hear.
I would be too. I haven't read it yet, but I know he did give it a half star. We'll do one more question here just before we wrap it up. Wait, this one here. Sorry. He says the three of you own an independent cinema, and you get to choose a film for a midnight movie marathon. You each get two, so like a double feature. What are your picks? Mine would be Miracle Mile and Body Double.
Oh, fuck. That's a great question there. Wow.
It's a good double feature too. I haven't seen Miracle Mile, but Body Double's great.
Oh, Miracle Mile's amazing.
Is it a good double feature with Body Double?
They're very different. Like Body Double. Have you seen Body Double?
Yeah,
Dixon?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nowhere near as like sleazy, but I don't know. I think they'd make for a fun double feature for sure. Oh god, you got to give me a minute on this one. This is an amazing question, Winslow.
It is, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking up like midnight movies just off the top of my head, just because I'm trying to like come up with a double feature. Maybe
probably a couple horror ones.
Yeah, I think I've got one. I don't know how. All right, I would go with maybe like I think you got to go with a little. Yeah, I just really weird people out. I would go with House, the Japanese Obayashi one, and then I'd go with Pink Flamingos.
Oh, that's great. That's a great one. Momo, be quiet. I wish you hadn't said House, because I kind of had a perfect double feature, so I can't. No. Now I need to think for. Bobo, stop. One moment. Right, Scott, you say yours. I'm still listening. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries, Leon. Pink Flamingos, wow. I have seen that. It's a good film, but fucking it's traumatizing.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes I have trouble. I mean, the chicken scene I can't really watch, to be honest.
No,
I have to turn away when that's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes in that for sure. But it possibly with Shining and Misery, I think would be quite interesting for midnight.
That's perfect. Like that'd be a really cool like midnight movie thing. But I think what I really want to do at some point is I want to go with like maybe not with Renee because of the Shining context, but like maybe we'll go with like some friends and like go to a winter cabin and like watch both of those movies.
Yeah.
And like as the snow piles up and everything, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun, yeah. 100%, definitely.
Yeah. God, Misery was like one of the first horror movies I saw as a kid that like really, really freaked me out.
Oh,
It's a creepy film for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He clearly doesn't want me to say my answer. Okay. Well, I initially I was gonna pair House with something for a full-on wacky double feature, but I guess I gotta think of. I'm trying to think of something. Maybe I could go like full like. No, you know something. I got. Bobo, stop it, please. I got a double feature. The films from completely different eras, and they're not very similar. But I think they'd be fun if like someone wanted to introduce my style. I would go with a double feature of, and I think I'd go in this order, which would be weird because it's like after they came out. Bobo, stop it, please. The Lords of Salem by Rob Zombie. I'd open with that. Bobo, please stop. And then I'd end, if it was like midnight, going into midnight, I'd absolutely 1,000,000,000% end with, if I can get the Steelbook out. Steelbook doesn't want to come out. Give me a minute, guys. Oh, wait, there we go. I'd end with Lucio Fulci's The Beyond.
Oh, great. That's an awesome double feature.
I just originally I was gonna say House and The Beyond. I think that would be so insane, like a double feature of just pure wackiness. And they're both like under 90 minutes as well. I think so. It's like the perfect kind of thing to double bill, just like back to back insanity. Like it makes such a fun double feature.
I think that's why I picked Pink Flamingos and House as well. Like they're both really short. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but no, great picks from both of you guys as well.
Yeah.
Like Misery and The Shining. Oh, no. Yeah, they're like two. Yeah, I was saying when we watched Anatomy of a Fall the other day, Jackson, I was saying I wish more films utilized like snow as an environment, like snowy environments and stuff. Bobo, stop it, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Well, I think that was an awesome question to end on, and I think that's gonna do it for the stream. Thank you guys so much for both coming on. I will.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you. Scott, do you have anything coming up on your channel soon?
Yep, it's always got a Friday night live stream this Friday, 8 p.m. And Dave from Savage Zombie Reviews will be joining this Friday, so it's going to be fantastic.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that'll be awesome. Yeah, I always love watching your streams, and
Thank you.
Should be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what about yourself, Leon?
I'm not gonna lie and say I have anything coming up because I really don't, other than some reviews for Blueprint. I got a couple of reviews coming out in the next few weeks. Gonna be reviewing like Possessor, Green Room, Fear City by Abel Ferrara. I got a couple of reviews coming out, but outside of that, nothing else planned. But hopefully, I'll be back to YouTube eventually. Like maybe do another stream because the Oscar stream recently was pretty fun.
It was fun, yeah.
But yeah. Apart from that, that's about it, really. And again, I'm so sorry for Bobo. He's so loud.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
He's good, yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, I don't think I have anything coming up. I mean, I'd love to do another live stream again soon. I was thinking of reviewing Dune Part 2 in some form, just because it's been like the latest, major release that I do have some things to say about. So, other than that, not really too much planned. But thank you again for both coming on, and thanks to Winslow, Mac, everybody for commenting. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye,
See you later.
everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah.